Moving along to the other New York team.
Yes.
The New York Islanders swept the New Jersey Devils this weekend, and a little bit of controversy in overtime. We'll get to that in a minute. But they came away with 4 points, and are they still sitting right now at the top of the league?
The Panthers have the same amount of points, but they played one less game, so technically Florida's first.
And Carolina's 1 point behind.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because that's important to know also for another video conversation that's coming up. Anthony, take us away. Your thoughts on this weekend from the Islanders?
Listen, good teams, you're supposed to beat the bad teams. I know people are like, oh, they're playing bad teams, but you got to do it. You're on the schedule. You don't play down to them. Like some teams play down to your opponent, you lose. They took care of business, and they won. And, listen, last minute they find out Pajot is protocol list, no adoption protocol list. Actually, even later, Pajot was early in your day, but adoption was like before puck drop. They had to scramble, throw in Sebastian Aho, who took warm-ups, took his equipment off, found out right after, put it immediately back on, and played. They threw Austin Zarnik in the lineup for Pajot. And they just went out and they still played Islander hockey. And that's what everyone says. From the first line to the fourth line, they all play the same style. No matter what, they're always going to come out and play the same game. And those little roster changes didn't affect the team. They played a good game. They got a little bit lucky in the overtime with the offsides goal. But then in the shootout, actually before the shootout, they killed a penalty in overtime. Pelech did a great job. Sorokin held the fort down. And then they got the dub with Wallstrom's wrist shot in the shootout. So now they have a tough task tonight with Washington. We'll see how that goes. They're right behind them. I think 4 points behind the Islanders. They won last night. So 2 points behind the Islanders. So that's going to be a really good game. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they just keep trucking along, and hey, they're at the top of the league right now, which I never envisioned before the season started. So we'll see what happens tonight against the Caps.
Like Anthony said, you got to beat the bad teams. I know they're on a 9-game win streak right now, but 7 of those 9 have come against New Jersey and Buffalo. I think 4 of them have come against Buffalo and 3 against New Jersey, if I'm correct.
3 against Buffalo and 3 against Heat. And then they beat Pittsburgh, Boston.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, I don't want to take away, but I mean, like you said, you got to beat those teams, especially Buffalo. If you lose to Buffalo right now, you are an embarrassment to lose to the Buffalo Sabres right now, especially without Jack Eichel. I don't know if any of you guys follow the Hockey Guy on YouTube. But he did like a power rankings thing, and he actually put Seattle at 31 over Buffalo at 32. And I saw another place that did this. I forget where it was, but I saw a picture of it on Twitter, and they put that a non-functioning, non-started up franchise is less of a clown show than the dumpster fire that is the Buffalo Sabres right now. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty accurate. But good for the Islanders for being able to get the job done against those teams. And they were, it's funny because they're finding ways to win games. They're not necessarily always playing well in all these games either, if you watch them. They're getting some good bounces their way, but that's what happens when you work your tails off and you buy into Barry Trotz's system and you come out to play every night. That's what happens when a good coach can motivate his team to play every damn night, every damn minute, every damn shift. So good for Barry Trotz to be able to get that team to play the way that he wants them to play every single shift. And if this continues, you never know. They could be a problem come playoff time. I definitely have my concerns. I don't know how long Anders Lee is going to be out for. That doesn't help them. But will they be able to make a move if he's LTIR'd?
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier while we were waiting to record. Anthony, take that one away and explain that one.
Yeah, so Anders Lee is on long-term injury reserve. With Lou Lamoriello, it's no secret. The guy's more secretive than I don't even know, the president of the United States with their book of secrets or whatever. That guy.
You could also go with Nick Fury. He's more secretive than Nick Fury.
So, so all they said about Lee was he was out indefinitely. They didn't divulge any more information, not what the injury is other than his lower body. It's likely his knee, but we don't know. But so the fact that he was placed on long-term injury reserve signals that he's pretty much out for the rest of the regular season. Now with that, it changes their whole dynamic come the trade deadline. We talked last week, they had to get rid of salary just to get a player in. But now with Lee on long-term injury reserve, they can add anyone they want. They get Taylor Hall, Kyle Palmieri, anybody. The only problem is if Lee was ready to come back before the playoffs, he wouldn't be able to be activated because the cap goes poof come playoff time. So Arthur Staple, Islanders beat writer from The Athletic, said the fact that Lee was put on long-term injury reserve already likely means that Lou Lamoriello is already working on bringing in a player because he didn't have to put Lee on long-term injury reserve. He could have just put him on regular IR to open up the roster spot. So the consensus is that he's definitely going to add somebody with Lee on long-term injury reserve. So the benefit to that is, like I said, now they don't have to trade a Leo Komarov in a trade, pay more, and then get the player they want. Now they could just do a straight-up regular trade for the player that they want. So it's good. I'm happy about that. But at the same time, I would take Lee over a lot of these guys they could acquire because he's a big body. He's their captain, heart and soul player. But at least now they have the opportunity to replace him. So we'll see how that goes in the next, 3.5 weeks come the deadline. We'll see what they do.
I mean, Anders Lee is one of the, I'll say, top 5 net front players in the league. There aren't many guys that can tip a puck like him, screen a goalie, create some chaos in front of the net. I know sometimes Ranger fans are like, I wish that's what Chris Kreider is, but Chris Kreider's in that top 5 too. I hate to break that news to a lot of people. But
I think he's 6'3", 235. So to your point, he's hard to move. He's a bull.
Yeah. And again, he's the captain, but they got plenty of stable leadership from the coach all the way down, and people that have been entrenched in that organization. They're going to be okay off the ice. It's the on the ice that I kind of worry about. To Filk's point, and that I really think it's true. Playing your competition matters, but I think Barry Trotz has got them on a level where it doesn't matter what the opponent is. Could be anybody. Could be the Devils. Could be the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're going to play them exactly the same way. They're going to play their game, and then that's going to be it. So that was good. Winning the game in overtime the other day, it's amazing. That game was 2-2. I knew the Islanders weren't winning that in regulation, and I knew they were going to overtime. That's just how I always feel watching this team. Going, yep, they're going to overtime. They're going to get at least a point. So I know no matter what, the Rangers will never catch them. Rangers lose a game in the last 30 seconds. How many times have we watched the Rangers and they've given up goals in the last 90 seconds of the game or of the period? I mean,
Notorious.
all the time. Yeah. And what happens instead on Sunday with the Islanders? Brock Nelson scored one with 1 second remaining. So that's the role that this team is on. So they're gonna keep that up. Even though I'm putting it also in a different video, Anthony, your call right now. Do the Islanders win this division?
Well, I mean, personally, I think they have a really good shot at it. I mean, they banked a lot of points. They, like I said, they took care of the teams they were supposed to beat. I believe they have 2 more games against the Sabres left. They already played them 6 times. I mean, Philly, I'm not really worried about the division so far at this point anymore. I think it really and even Boston's, they just look so much different than they did last year. Truthfully, I think the 3 teams going to gun for the division title are the Islanders, Capitals, and Penguins. And more realistically, I think Islanders, Capitals. I think that's what it's going to come down to. And it's just really ultimately going to be decided about if the Islanders can make up the production from Anders Lee until they acquire someone to replace him. You know, Kiefer Bellows has 3 goals in the 2 games he's played since being on the top line with Barzal and Eberle. So that's encouraging. But, you know, I think if they could just keep getting production up and down their lineup, you know, until they get some reinforcements and still play the same style of hockey, I mean, I think it's a toss-up. I think they could just as easily win the division, or they could just as easily finish second. So, you know, I'm going to say that they do have a really good chance at it, but it's not a lock by any means.
Yes or no? Do they win the division?
But I'm going to say, listen, it's been a long time since they won a division. I'm going to say yes. This is the year they do it. They win the division.
Don't worry, I'm not going to break out the tape and use it against you. Filk, do the Islanders win the division?
Wow, that's a tough one. It really is a tough one. It's tough because, like Anthony said, that, you know, Washington is really the one team, and you're looking at it right now in the standings, that they could come out and really give the Islanders problems. The makeup of their team is a good veteran team. You know, obviously they have arguably the greatest goal scorer ever, some good center depth, other good players, pieces that are hard to play against, like your TJ Oshie's and your Tom Wilsons and stuff. But I don't know if I see them beating the Islanders. I don't know. I think the Islanders just come out every night and they just make it hard to play against whoever they play against. So I don't really know if Washington can overtake them. Boston, I think, could, if they address their defense at the deadline. I think they're going to get Matthias Ekholm from Nashville. I've been on record saying it for a while.
I think you're right.
I think that's going to be probably the biggest fish moved at the deadline. I think Boston's going to get him, and I think that's going to help improve their top 4 a whole lot. And if that happens, then the Boston Bruins become a completely different team, because, like Anthony said, they don't look the same as they looked last year and the couple of years before. But if they fix that defense, and maybe if they grab maybe you grab like a depth forward or something like that, because David Krejci has not been good this season at all for them. He looks like he's on his last legs. So if they fix that defense, and maybe if they grab another depth forward, I would say Boston would be a real dark horse, but I think the Islanders are probably the safe bet right now.
I'm going to take the 3rd team in that division, which is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Watch out for them, because they're getting their game together. And they're another team that, if they improve their goaltending or improve their back end just a little bit and get a little bit more production out of it, getting Malkin, who is starting to heat up, that team could also make some noise as well. All right. So what do you think about the New York Islanders right now? Should you be excited, or do you think they're going to win the division? Is Anthony going to keep on smiling, or is Phil going to keep rolling his eyes? I think I'm going to roll my eyes too. It's just I'm making eye contact. Put it all in the comments below. Don't forget to like our videos and share our videos.
Did you like that video? Of course you did. So why not check out some more of our content? You can check the playlist right here or right here.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.